Hopefully Ness will join us soon.
Yeah. I know I was late last time, so hopefully they'll see this message. If not, I'll just have to pull my weight as an excellent commentator.
Alright, I think we are live now.
Okay.
So, hello, Kyle and 002 are there already. And Kyle, I saw that you jumped in on the stream earlier when I accidentally made it public when I wasn't supposed to. So sorry about that.
He's very ready.
Yeah. So, before we get started, before I tell you what my idea is for this redesign, I just want to make sure that that you can hear everyone, that the music is at a good level and all that kind of stuff. I was struggling with some technical issues here, so I think I might have solved them, but would love to hear from you if it is in fact working correctly. As usual, we have Banana Meteor joining us on voice chat.
Hi guys, hope all of the volume is going well, and I'm excited to talk about the redesigns for this line in specific, because I really love this line, so
Well,
we'll have to see
the
where it
pressure
goes.
is on. And hopefully we'll have Infinipede join us soon as well on voice chat, but they're not here yet, so but we're gonna get started anyway, I think. Can you please put the music lower? Yes, the music can definitely be lower. Yeah, so just let me know if there's anything else that I need to adjust. Voices are good, music is good. Let me know. But I'm going to assume that you can hear Banana Meteor and me.
I hope so.
So this is also 002's favorite Pokemon line from Generation 1.
Ooh.
And so hello, Question Mark Gaming, Aurora, Raikanoli. I think I got everyone who's in the chat right now. So I actually haven't told Banana Meteor or Infinipede too much about what my idea for this design is. Unlike the previous two families that we did, this one is actually my concept. I told you a little bit. Do you remember what I told you?
I don't specifically remember what you told me.
Well, that was like a month ago, because it was right after our last stream, so
right.
I was not expecting you to have a perfect memory of what my idea was.
See.
But basically, I heard from someone at some point, or like I read it somewhere, a theory or just like an interpretation of the design of this family, that it's actually a creature that is like slowly coming through from a different dimension. So at first you only see the head, and then you see the head and the arms, and then you see the whole body. And you have a little bit of that as well in both Mega Gengar and Gigantamax Gengar, where it's like fading back into the ground, right?
Yeah.
And so Kyle actually just called my concept, why does Gengar remind me of the Cheshire Cat? That's it. That's exactly what I'm gonna go for, because I was trying to think of like what kind of creature would be like slowly disappearing or slowly appearing, you know, head first, then the body, then like parts of the body, and then the rest of the body. And I immediately thought of the Cheshire Cat, mostly as depicted in Alice in Wonderland, but it is older than that. So that's my idea, to make Gengar a little bit more cat-like, and also, and then basically to try to show this transition more clearly from like just the Cheshire Cat's head, and then slowly more parts of the body appearing. And I think it was Infinipede's idea the last time that I was telling you my struggles with this concept. I think it was Infinipede's idea to use the gas, the smoke from Gastly, to actually imply the rest of the body in Gastly and Haunter. So that's what I'm gonna try. I'm pretty happy with my concept for Gengar, and I think I'm gonna start with Gengar and then work backwards. But I would really like to hear feedback on ways to make the other two designs just feel a little bit more unique, have something to them that is more just them rather than it looking exactly like Gengar but with parts of the body missing. So let's move these out to the side. And my cat wants up.
He heard you talking about cats.
This is Rogue. She doesn't like to be held very much, but she likes to go up on the window that's right here. There's a nice big ledge that she likes to go on, so she puts up with being picked up just so that she can go on the window.
Also, I think Infinipede popped in, so...
Yeah, I'm here.
We're both so tired.
Yeah. I mean, I already took a nap today, but, I woke up at 5:30 and I don't know why.
Well, apparently Banana Meteor just woke up, so, if you were up earlier and then took a nap, it seems like you're ahead of the game.
I suppose. I mean, I can't complain because, that's my, that's my body's normal schedule is, wake up in the afternoon. But, coffee and medication helps.
Just gonna have I set up the chat, or I have it set up in a way now that I can actually see the chat much more easily than before, so I might have a better time keeping up with what people are saying this time. And 002 says, never thought of Gengar as an animal. When I tried to redesign it, basically made Gengar black with a purple rim light and made him look like getting pulled by chains in the ground, gave him dark wings. That actually reminds me of another part of the design that I failed to mention before, because when I was thinking of what to do with Gengar, I also just happened to be watching I think it was a Because Science video about Vantablack, the black paint that absorbs more than 99% of the light, so even on a 3D object it just looks like a flat black silhouette basically. And so I thought it would be really cool for all of these Pokemon to just be a really deep black, and then just have a little bit of that red glow that you see especially in Mega Gengar, just kind of around the edges. So that's similar to what 002 was suggesting as well. Infinipede, did you hear my basic explanation of what the concept would be?
Well, we talked about it earlier.
Yeah, we talked about it at after the end of last stream, but I wasn't expecting you to remember.
No, I do remember.
Okay, good.
Oh, I'm getting blown up here. I didn't remember, so get put on blast a little bit.
How could you?
Sorry.
Yeah, so the body shape of Gengar that I have in mind is mostly the same. Changing the shapes of the eyes and the mouth a little bit, but I'm not super set on what exactly that should look like, so if you have other ideas, I'm happy to listen. Yeah, I think of giving Gengar some more cat-like eyes, and even though the Gengar grin is pretty iconic, I wanted to make it look a little bit more creepy, so that angled mouth is what I went with. But again,
Is there another
the
Pokemon?
specifics of the design I'm not super, attached to.
Is there another Pokemon that has a mouth like that? Because for some reason I'm
believe-
getting like some other design from that, but I can't put my finger on what.
Well, there's
Yeah.
Haunter.
Okay, listen. I meant like something else newer.
Haunter's mouth is similar to that.
I
True.
turned myself down by like half. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Okay.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I think it's Trevenant.
Oh.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I'm looking it up now because I'm pretty sure it looks very Trevenant-esque. Yeah, it looks a lot like Trevenant.
Okay.
Like, Trevenant doesn't have, like, the corners of the mouth, but
Yeah.
it has that same, like, zigzag pattern.
Now, do you plan on
Probably
giving it a
couple others that
nose?
have that, too.
I wasn't planning on it, but that's definitely a possibility.
I also think some
do you
of
think
the-
it should have a nose? It needs to have a nose for it to look cat-like or something?
I don't know yet. I need to see it get to that point. But I do like what you're doing with the hands, and I think that a lot of like the little spikes kind of coming off Gengar, just like the ethereal little zigzags, would be really well served as whiskers on more cat-like.
His mouth, it's snout, and it's, like, the zigzags, it's whisker.
Yeah.
Someone said Turtonator has a similar mouth, but
Yeah, I
I'm
guess
pretty
it does.
sure it's got, like, a long snout.
Oh, Wobbuffet does too. Whoever said
Wobbuffet-
that.
That is Wobbuffet-esque.
Yeah, there we go.
No, somebody said, oh, whoa.
That's April. Hi, April.
Oh my god, hi, April.
You're on the clock. You can't be here.
Jeez.
I wanted to give Gengar a pose that is reminiscent of its official art, but also not quite the same. Something that I can use to maybe emphasize its cat-likeness a little bit more. And so I wanted to leave space at the bottom to put a tail. And I'm definitely gonna have to move it up and make it a little bit smaller so I can fit the tail the way I want it to be.
Now, I definitely wouldn't do a smooth tail. I'd do like a really bushy, wild tail, kind of like the way that Mega Gengar is. Because there's always
it
something
being
a little
long,
unhinged
but-
about this guy. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that, Infinipede?
I was just saying, like, I was agreeing with Julie.
Okay.
Big tail. Rafa, as somebody who enjoys both Pokemon and Yokai Watch, I don't really see it, but that's just me.
What was the
Rafa
question?
said it
Oh,
kind
kinda
of looks
looks
like a yokai. And I assume they're talking about Yokai Watch.
Well, I mean, it's also perfectly fine for it to look like a regular old yokai.
Yeah, like a regular yokai, yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's not terribly reminiscent of, like, the Yokai Watch.
Yeah. I wouldn't know, because I know very little about Yokai Watch. Yeah,
The
so
games
this
are
is-
good, you should play them.
This is the basic concept that I had for Gengar. Probably put some more spikes, along the back or something like that. I liked the smooth tail. I felt that it made it more cat-like, but
I mean... Oh, okay. There you go.
like, I'm not opposed to having a more spiky tail. I just wouldn't want it to stray too far away from making it like a cattail.
I think you could definitely still do a bushy cattail and have it read as that. Because right now I'm kind of getting like Mew from it.
It does look a lot like Mew. for me,
It looks
too.
more psychic than ghost, I would say.
Okay.
How about, like, make it less thin around the end? And just give it, like, maybe little spikes at the end.
At the tip of the tail, you mean?
Yeah, like it looks bushier because it tapers into a larger tail.
Right.
Hard to explain. I can't really explain without drawing.
Well, we can also try putting some spikes at the base of the tail. I feel like that can be there without infringing on the catness. But yeah, maybe something that's like a scared cat, because that was another thing that I thought, another association that I thought made sense, like a black cat.
Right now, he looks like he's taking a really violent shit.
Well,
like a terrible one.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come through that way when it's, more complete. But yeah, I guess I can see it.
I'm not sure I like the tail just coming down like that now that Julie mentions it.
Well, yeah, sure, we can change the position. That's fine. Here,
It's so powerful that it's propelling him upward, and he's very excited about
it. It's like a Wario waft.
Yeah, that's a little better.
We'll put it something like that.
Much better.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So I'll just leave Gengar at that for now. So, because I want to show what I have in mind for the other two, and then
Absolutely.
and then we can, find ways to make them work together a little bit better. Haunter is actually the one that I was struggling with the most. Because I think I have a pretty good idea of what to do with Gastly, but then Haunter just kind of became an awkward middle ground. Where it was like neither one thing nor the other. So this is probably the one that's gonna need the most work. And for the most part, I gave all of them the same facial features, and that's also something that I want some ideas for, like what to do to make it more unique between the different stages.
I'm being asked to post pictures of my cat for reference because she's very fluffy.
The spikes for the head can be more or less ear-like.
Yeah, one of the things about the original design is they kind of already have those big ears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Narek and Eric McNugget and April all think that Gengar should also be able to separate its body parts, Cheshire Cat style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how do we show that?
Maybe by showing like the cross section of one of the bodies floating off of it.
Just like
one of the body parts.
Just like take a leg or something and place it separate.
Yeah, and then do that like really cartoony thing where it's just like a clean slice, but you can kind of see like that little bit inside of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Haunter doesn't have any smoke in the original, but I thought it would be a good idea to give it some to kind of imply at least the tail, because I thought the tail was a good way to make it look cat-like, or to make all of them look cat-like. But
depending on what reference picture you pull up for Haunter, I know that some of the glowiness is kind of put through the hands. The hands can glow sometimes on Haunter.
That's true. That's true. At least in a couple of the sprites, they do glow.
Yeah. I don't know if that idea was dropped later once we hit 3D models, just because it was like too weird to animate.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it recently, but I don't know, I'm not sure if that's just something that they gave up on, or, you know, just maybe it was never such a prominent thing in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the watercolor of this OG Gastly art.
Yeah,
I wish that the newer one had that much personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, the smoke tail on Haunter was really good. I liked that for putting in the cat idea. Now, do you plan on giving Gastly ears?
Sort of. I'm gonna make this head a little bit smaller, though.
I kind of had that problem when I was designing Dugong again, but it's such a simple design that it almost feels like anything you add to it takes away from it. So, like, when I made my Dugong design, a lot of people were like, oh, Mega Dugong. And it's like, well, I tried.
Yeah.
I tried it not to be that, but it kind of did end up being that, huh?
Yeah.
But it's like you said, anything you add to Dugong, like, is gonna make it look weird to people, but it kind of needs the stuff.
It needs something, but, like, what can you do? You can change the original design, you can give it new elements, but that takes away from what Dugong is, so then it's not going to read as Dugong.
But that's not your fault, that's the designer's fault.
Yeah.
That they were just like, it's a Dugong, and we're calling it Dugong.
Yeah.
And it has a horn.
Yeah, and we did make pretty significant changes to, like, Butterfree, for example.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how I intended to make Gastly a little bit more cat-like, to make the ears and the tail out of smoke.
I really like this. This is cool.
So that it's still just a floating head with smoke around it, but the smoke gives you an idea of what it's going to turn into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just want to be careful that that one doesn't read like a sperm. You want to really accentuate the ears on that.
Fair. Sperm is definitely not what I'm going for, believe it or not. Now this looks like a mess. I just want to have all three of them visible here.
Perfect, you're done. You
Yep.
did it.
So that we can look at them as a group. Yeah, I know Gengar doesn't levitate anymore, but I like the idea of it levitating anyway. Yeah. So, like, in terms of just the concept, I really like this. But I feel like probably Haunter in particular needs something more.
I think the little spikies is just like side of its head cat whiskers will really help cat eyes it while still keeping it ghosty.
Are you thinking like spikes, like where the nose would be, or more on the side of the head?
On like the side of the cheeks, on the
Side of
edge
the
of the
cheeks.
silhouette for the face.
Right. Okay.
Suggest the Gastly's like little fangs.
Oh, that would be cute.
On all of them, or only on Gastly?
Just all 3 of them, but you know, I'm not sure exactly.
Nan, is that what more or less what you had in mind for Haunter?
Yeah, I would make them bigger and thicker, kind of like the original spikes are, but I think that's gonna help it read.
Right. The thing is that the original spikes are like around the head. Like, to me, they're not placed in a way that makes them look like whiskers at all.
No, but you definitely have them that way a little more on yours.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying cat pupils. Yes, cat pupils will be great.
Yes, and that's the idea for all of them. Maybe Gengar can have those whiskers as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I like that.
Probably Gastly doesn't need them. Like, I don't want to make Gastly too detailed.
Yeah, I think it already kind of starts to read as the start of a concept for a line, and if you add too much to Gastly, it's just not Gastly anymore.
Yeah.
Like, maybe give it, but...
The only thing I'm not thrilled about with this concept is there's already so many cat Pokemon, but, like, that's not your fault.
Yeah.
And we could always use more.
Absolutely, that's right.
It says 3 cat people, of course.
Fucking dog Pokemon, though. You don't need any more.
I think there's, like, the same amount of both.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I would say that there's the same amount of both, but the dog Pokemon are way more boring. Like...
Yeah.
like, Herdier. It's literally just a dog.
I was kind of disappointed with Bolton this gen because I thought that Yamper had a lot of personality as an interesting breed, and then when it evolved, it was just kind of like, yeah, it's a dog. And it's like, well...
Yeah. And like, to me,
like,
Bolton felt like a middle
it.
stage. It felt like Bolton could have had a second evolution to make it more something.
I think it feels like more something during its attack animations when it lunges forward and the spines on its back become the lightning bolt. But at that point, I'm just missing Mega Manectric, missing my boy.
Yeah. Never enough cats. A new Meowth for every single real-life breed of cat. I do really like what they're doing with Meowth now, where it's like every region has its own Meowth. I like that very much.
I'd be so happy. Like, I just want to see all the Meowths.
Where's our Sphinx Meowth that's just covered in folds?
One day.
I want it. If we ever get like a North Africa / Egypt region.
Someone recommends that Gengar's body should be a little longer, and I kind of feel that. Its
I agree.
silhouette is more ovular.
It's like right now it looks like an egg.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it that way, but sure, I can make it bigger or like longer. The problem is that I drew the circle of the body and the face on the same layer, so I'm gonna have to
Shrink
separate
the face a
them.
little, like shrink the mouth a little.
Hoenn and Sinnoh
We don't
Meowth.
need a Sinnoh Meowth because Perugly is already absolutely perfect in every single way.
Perugly is really underrated, honestly. Its name does not help its appeal.
No, it does not.
It should be like Buffly. He's trying to be buff. Like, if you look at the Dex entry, it's just like, yeah, he just wraps up his waist to try and look buff. I'm just like, this is the greatest.
Yeah.
I'm
They
not a
dealt
fan.
that Pokemon a bad hand. They're like, this is the pretty evolution, and this one's gross.
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Perugly, but Like,
Yeah, per roughly would have been good. What was the name of my shit? I know I had a. Oh yeah, Growltesk. That was my Perugly evolution.
oh,
What I really like about Perugly is it's so different than the lean and slender like Persian or Delcatty. They're like, all right, let's just go in a different direction on this cat, and I think it works.
mm-hmm.
It's not bad. It's just I don't know. I feel like Perugly is just has a lot more personality.
I like Clammeow. I like that they have the spiral tail in both their designs.
Yeah, it's cute. Like, and I like Delcatty and Meowth too. I like pretty much all the cat Pokemon except for like Liepard. I don't know.
You
why,
like
I just
cats?
Liepard is great.
Ooh, contention.
I just feel like there's not enough to it.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that's fair. Like, it could
Not a
definitely
lot
be
that
a
really
better.
separates it.
It could definitely be a better leopard Pokemon.
Yeah, really.
Um,
That's what I feel.
But I do like it very much.
I mean, it's very Umbreon-esque, so I can see why.
Yeah, I like the colors.
It does have great colors. I wish that it was more muscular like a leopard is. Again, I guess we just like muscle cats, but at the same time,
Well-
Incineroar doesn't appeal to me because I'm not into its bipedalness.
Center.
Yeah.
That
Well-
he's just the heel, and he's a freaking furry.
Like, leopards are muscular, yes, but not nearly as much as a jaguar.
True.
If a jaguar, like if it was a jaguar Pokemon, then it would be a bad jaguar Pokemon. And like it does evolve from a cat, so maybe it's not so much a leopard as the name would imply, as maybe like a serval or something like that.
Not that Pokemon is a Digimon. Why are people like this? Like, have you seen a Digimon? They are covered in stuff.
Yeah.
I love Digimon. I love how widgety they are, but like, if you're gonna compare like any Pokemon to a Digimon, it's type Null and Silvally, but especially type Null because it's basically Chimeramon, the Pokemon.
Eternatus. Am I saying that right? That Pokemon is bizarre. That gives me big Digimon vibes. Even Yu-Gi-Oh vibes more so, I'd say.
Yeah, it's more so a Yu-Gi-Oh vibe from Eternatus. Like, it does look like a couple Digimon, but it definitely makes me feel more Yu-Gi-Oh or like Ultra Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Digimon Incineroar would be wearing like ripped black jeans. He would have a bunch of belts. He might have like gloves.
You'd have a bunch of like piercings on his ears.
Yeah, exactly. He'd look like Bancho Leomon, but like black and red.
Yeah. He'd actually make a great Digimon. But maybe that's why I'm not thrilled on him as a Pokemon.
And he has to be more rigid to be a Digimon.
True.
I just don't know enough about Digimon anymore.
It's the same as you remember it.
It's they're doing adventure stuff a lot to cash in on people's nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And the last like 2 series I did not ever even want to watch because it was basically like they don't digivolve anymore, they only fuse. And then the one after that was like Appmon, and it was like its own thing. It's like neither of them sound interesting to me. But then again, I was also the kind of person who didn't want to watch the 4th season because it's like the people are the Digimon now, and I'm like that takes away like so much of the interesting aspects of Digimon.
Yeah, I think that's when I stopped watching.
Oh yeah, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory are both definitely like worth playing.
My husband would hate me for saying this, but my hot take is I did not like those games. But I have that take after playing them, so valid opinion, maybe?
I mean, they're basically just like monster battler RPGs, so...
Yeah, but what I liked about Digimon was the really gimmicky, weird pet care stuff. So, like, what appealed to me on the new console is I liked Next Order a lot, because I was like, oh, this is what Digimon should be. This is, like, it makes it really different from these other franchises. And then when it, like, kind of shifted gears and just went to a JRPG monster battler, I kind of, like, it lost me a little bit, because that's I can get that elsewhere.
Gears, they have both series. There's the Digimon Story series, which is the Monster Battler JRPG, and then the Digimon World series, which is the stuff that you like.
Yeah, that's what I'm very into. And I think most people don't like that because it's really weird, but the thing about that style of game is you can't get that style of game anywhere else.
I have never played a single Digimon game.
You gotta do it.
Try at least one of each, like, world and story games, because, like, I don't know, I would say Digimon, the Cyber Sleuth games they're definitely more like the Shin Megami Tensei games and the Pokemon game. But
yeah, and I'm in the minority of not liking those, so
yeah,
I would
most
definitely
people
try those
who
out.
play them at least enjoy them. But you know, they've got like random encounters and stuff, so it depends on how much you're in there for like your classic JRPG experience.
You gotta like make a new video on your channel and be like, I tried Digimon and it's weird.
Yeah, see,
Maybe.
you guys are on like you guys are so much like less into it than I am, and I think that part of that is like you both really like those simplistic designs, and I'm just like put more shit on it.
Yeah,
You can never
I
enough
have
shit.
I have
walk
some
on two
friends.
legs.
I have some friends who would have some positive, nice things to say about Digimon. So maybe I should throw them on here sometimes and be like, talk about Digimon, because I don't wanna. No thanks.
Main T definitely has upgraded itself, especially with Apocalypse. SMT4 Apocalypse is a lot more. It's like SMT, but we took the things that people liked about Persona and sprinkled them in there a little bit. Like, there's more relatable characters. Like,
Relatable characters are good.
as much as I like the SMT like 3 and 4 characters and so on and so forth, it's like you actually they don't immediately grab you like the Persona character.
Yeah, I agree.
That was looking too much like a mohawk. I had to change it.
I think once it's colored the same color as the body, it will also be better as well.
Yeah, maybe.
It will just kind of look like a tuft.
Yeah, because that's more what I was going for, just a tuft.
Yeah, but you don't really want to curve the fur at the same time, because that's not like the energy that Gengar puts off, so it's hard to do that and not make it feel like a mohawk.
3 is my overall like favorite SMT and Persona game, but I would put SMT4, Apocalypse, and mainline SMT4, and the Rado Kusunoha games before Persona 4. I was not really a fan of Persona.
Did you hear that they just dropped Persona 4 on Steam today with no announcement? They're just like, it's here! Go play it! And it's like, well, I have, but thank you.
Yeah, it's like, well... Like, wake me up when you drop 3 portable or 5.
I have also never played a Persona game.
You gotta do this. How can you call yourself a Pokemon YouTuber without all this vast knowledge of its clones?
Well...
Hey, SMT and Digimon were both, like, before Pokemon.
Yeah, but they also all borrow elements from each other at this point. Like,
yeah, they all borrow elements from each other.
One of the things I really liked about Persona Royal, having just finished it, is they added abilities to the Persona in the same way that Pokemon have them. And I was like, oh, this is great, because this really adds a lot of fun to the battle system. Makes it more interesting.
I still have yet to play 5 because I don't have a PS4.
Yeah. I know you want to.
I do, and, like, I feel like... I don't know, like... I don't want to already have an opinion on it, but I feel like I'm at least going to like it more than 4.
Yeah, it has a different flavor than 4, and I know 4's flavor did not appeal to you. It feels like the in-between between 3 and 4.
Okay.
How's that coming along for you?
It's looking great. I think it might work better for me if one of the arms was detached and one of the legs was detached.
Okay,
I agree
yeah.
with that.
Yeah, can do that.
think like other monster battlers should be like sort of on a Pokemon fan's bucket list, just because, like Banana Meteor said, they all borrow from each other.
Yeah, I think it's really important to see what works in Pokemon and what other franchises have borrowed by that and evolved that with as far as turn-based battlers go. So I think Ness and I have played a disgusting amount of other turn-based battlers.
Yeah. Like, I would always, if I saw a game that was like, you can tame monsters, I would just pick it up as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, God, I played so many of those types.
To be honest, like, in terms of the gameplay, I don't even know what it is about Pokemon that appeals to me. Because I don't think that that it has to do with it being a turn-based battler. I think it's much more to do with it just like being a monster collection game, but like specifically one where I like the monsters.
Yeah.
The designs, I think, are really what appeal to most people, which is why you can make all these spin-offs and they're still very popular.
Oh, hell yes, Monster Rancher. I love Monster Rancher games.
Yeah, Charles brought up Monster Rancher. Ness and I are huge Monster Rancher stans. We know way more than we should.
Do you want to hear a fun Monster Rancher fact, chat?
Yes, yes I do.
Go for it.
Well, you probably know this one, Julie. I've probably told this to you. There's a single copy of, I think it's Beck's Mellow Gold, that makes a monster that is not supposed to be available via CD, and that was never supposed to be released in the English version. So, that's a thing. It's just a single copy that exists, and, like, nobody was ever able to get to, like, replicate that. But it is not a myth, because back in the day, they actually took that single copy of Mellow Gold and burned it. And you can burn and like, put its data onto a file, and you can burn your own. And get your own copy of Moo.
Ness and I were really into Monster Rancher 2, which had the mechanic of you put in a real-life CD, and it would generate a monster based on the CD you put in. But there are certain ones that are exclusive to printings of CDs, but since it came out in the mid-2000s, it's like, yeah, grab a copy of Backstreet Boys Millennium and get the exclusive Galley. And you're like, okay, well, I might have that somewhere. I remember
so there was like tie-ins with just popular media?
Yeah, but it wasn't like officially
a...
sanctioned. They just like took these popular things and they're like, let's like just make this a thing. We're not going to get the license from anyone, but if you put this CD in, you might get this. And it wasn't like related to the CD very much.
Do you remember Express Worm?
I do remember Express Worm.
Was it Beastie Boys or something?
It was Beastie Boys Licensed to Ill gives you that one. And a lot of them it was really funny because they weren't like child appropriate CDs. They weren't something you should have in your house if you were the target audience for Monster Rancher. I know Blink-182's Enema of the State gave you one.
I mean, how's that not child friendly? Like, Blink-182 was huge when I was in that, at the end of elementary school, so like grade 5 or so.
Well, I don't know if the title of the CD, Enema of the State, with a nurse pulling a glove up to her shoulder, is probably the most child-friendly thing. But
like maybe not child-friendly, as in like what a parent would want. This is what the kids want. It's definitely what the 10 to 12-year-old boys are into.
That's true. Ness, do you remember when we showed up to a CD store and we had a printed out list of all these CDs and we're like, do you have these? And the guy behind the counter was just like, I don't know what you guys want.
Do you remember when I bought Chrono Cross entirely for Monster Rancher and the guy at GameStop was like, oh, Chrono Cross, that's a good one. I'm like, I'm just buying it to get a monster in Monster. That looks so good.
flotating. That's not a word. I would make the floating limbs a little closer to where they popped off from, but I like the concept a lot.
Sure.
Does Gengar have like a physical form? Because like I always picture the little, when you do the little sliced body part thing, that little thing in the center is supposed to be a bone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like Gengar has bones?
Well, I don't know if Gengar has bones, but Gengar looks like it has bones.
If we make that thing in the center like a like different color, like not a bone color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. Well, so like, because I was thinking that most of the body is going to be black, and just some, like the extremities basically would be red. So maybe on the inside it should actually be reversed. So like the like flesh is red, like you'd expect it to be, but instead of a white bone, it could just be more black.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm cool with that.
Use flesh? And to answer the person who asked about Spectrobes, I never played that one.
I have played Spectrobes.
Is it good?
It's different. I think the battle system gets pretty upsetting quickly, but it definitely it does work to try to be different from the other monster stuff at the time. I didn't play a ton, so I don't have a really defined take on it, but I did like the designs.
I didn't even hear about that one until a few months ago.
Yeah.
Because somebody on Flight Rising was showing off their Fossil Fighters dragons, and they had like the little Fossil Fighter like models for comparison. I'm like, these are really cute. Maybe I should play this. I don't know if it's any good, but
I could definitely lend it to you if you're interested. I think I have all three. I think I have the 2 DS games and the Wii spin-off.
I'm just gonna emulate it so that I don't like forget to give it back to you and lose it.
True.
Especially because you'd have to mail it all the way here.
Oh, I got your recent mail of the Animal Crossing cards, by the way. I really
Good.
liked the art you put on them. Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that looks really good, Shed.
Cool.
I like that. It still has that Gengar feel with being more cat-like. It definitely doesn't need the nose. I think it still reads as a cat without the nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
whiskers,
just like the ears, the whiskers, the tail, and I think that it's not like overtly cat-like. Like it's not a cat ghost Pokemon. At least I don't intend it that way, and I don't think that it appears that way either.
Ni no Kuni is considered like a pet battler RPG. I've never played it though.
The first one is, the second one is not.
Oh, good to know. I will not touch the second one.
The second one's really good, but think like Kingdom Hearts FF7 remake kind of battle, not like pet battle.
Yeah, no problem, April.
I also, well, I can't say I've never played Kingdom Hearts, because I did play it one time, like on a friend's console. But I was just always been too much of like a Nintendo kid. And it's not even like I'm a fan of Nintendo. I just always only had Nintendo consoles. So games that were only out on PlayStation, I never even like had a chance to try.
Expand your horizons. There's so many lovely games out there. I'm sure you'd enjoy.
Yeah, probably, but I mean, who has time for that?
Someone in chat, Charles, was like, you guys are so extensive. And it's like, well, I'm old and it's all I do. I just play games.
With the Game Boy Advance Shaman King games, but my friend Fifi might have. It's like the only person I know who knows anything about Shaman King.
Yeah, I haven't tried that, unfortunately.
Like, Oh my god, Jade Cocoon is a like original PlayStation masterpiece. People should really play it. It's
Yeah,
sort of
every
like-
time I've seen you playing it, I'm like, that looks super cool.
It's sort of like if Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind was a game.
Yeah.
The Dragon Quest Monster series and the Dragon Warrior Monster series, I like those quite a lot. Thinking, what else have I...
Alright, I'm gonna leave Gengar like this for now, unless you have anything glaring that I should fix.
What is that tiny little spike next to the ear?
The one in the back?
Yeah.
Well, to imply that it would have spikes on the back like Gengar does. Like OG Gengar does.
Okay.
Just because otherwise there's no other way or no other place to show that aspect.
I don't love it there. It kind of just seems like it's tacked on, but I understand you want to show that aspect. So... Also, April, I don't think anyone in this chat plays... I could be wrong. I don't think anyone in this chat is super into sports games, but watch me get torn down by viewers now.
I'm sure there's people who are into sports games. Not me.
Certainly.
Not me,
I just
but,
don't think the crossover is very big with people watching Pokemon redesigns and being deeply into sports. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know, like being into sports and being into sports games is not necessarily the same thing.
I mean...
I don't think a lot of people are playing sports games if they're not into sports, because I think so much of the sports games, like, they put out a new one every year because they're like, here's the new players in every team, here's what's changed, and people love to be up to speed on that, so.
The only sports games
absolutely.
I play are like Mario Tennis.
The only
You're an
sports
animal
games
at
I
Mario
play are Wii Sports.
It's good.
Hey, Wii Sports Resort is great.
Oh, we got a sports fan, but they don't like sports game.
Oh, that's me as well.
And fantasy football is essentially Pokemon for sports guys.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
Pretty much.
People, you can talk to someone about Mario Strikers. Is that NFL Streets? Is that the same? I'm surprised you know someone that doesn't like football and plays the football games. That seems bizarre to me, but to each their own.
Thank you, April.
Where's our sports Pokemon? That's the design we need.
I mean, we have a few.
Yes, we do have a few Pokemon that are based on, or at least partially inspired by certain sports.
I mean, we got Passimian.
Yeah, Passimian
I
is
do
like the
like
obvious
Passimian.
one. If you include like martial arts in that, then you know we have Pokemon that are based on judo and karate and all that kind of stuff, and capoeira.
Oh yeah, Score Bunny was mentioned too, of course, that whole line.
Yes,
Because there was a big sports aesthetic in Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, hey, welcome to sports world. People like sports.
Yeah.
We got that a little bit of that in Unova too, with like the football stadium and the basketball court.
I was actually surprised there wasn't more sports Pokemon in Sword and Shield, considering you have every gym battle in an arena surrounded by screaming fans, and you have like your little uniform you get to customize and wear.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but like I think it's also like Pokemon has superseded sport in that version of England.
Right.
Yeah, no, but I agree that it would make sense to have more Pokemon that are just based on sports to go there. But speaking of the uniforms, it was actually quite disappointing that like you can buy the uniforms of all the gym types, but you can't actually wear them when you're doing the gym.
I was so fucking pissed at that. Excuse my language, but I had an almost like 99% bug team. Or a full bug team, I think it was. And I couldn't wear the bug type gym uniform? Like, come on.
Yeah, like what is even really the point of letting people like get those? And like they are gym uniforms, but you're not allowed to wear them, like you're only allowed to wear them as like your overworld clothes.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Selective customization is so frustrating too, where it's like, hey, we modeled this, you can do it, just only where we want you to do it as a player. It's like, no, give me decisions.
I feel like that's like so much of a problem with like a lot of Nintendo stuff though. It's like, we will tell you how to play our games, and if you want to play them another way, that's just too bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is really good about that.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild, the customization of Breath of the Wild was great.
Or just like so many different solutions to a shrine where you like show up and you're like, oh, I did it this way, and you can talk to your friend about it, and they did not do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with the customization thing. Same with the stupid bike outfit.
Oh boy.
Ah.
Even just changing the color on that sucked, because, like, they didn't want to give you a whole list. They're like, no, you gotta put a Pokemon with the type of the color you want at the front of your party, and then you don't know what color that's gonna give you. Maybe it'll give you a different color. You did a bug type, that's Chartreuse. We decided that's the type the bug is. Poison? I don't know. Throw a dart. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, and like, the outfit only changes one of the colors, and so, like, I think the like light blue, I think, is the one that is always there. And some of the colors that pair with it just look horrendous.
Disgusting. Oh my god. Ugh.
And you had to wear it when you're on the bike, which of course, if you're breeding competitive Pokemon post-game, you're in the bike outfit like 80% of the time. So like, through your customization that you worked hard for.
Yeah, that trainer character that looks so much like you, or like whatever it is that you want it to look like, well, it doesn't look like that.
Yeah. Your bike now.
Yeah.
Enjoy bike.
You are a bike now.
Pokemon has a long way to go as far as customization goes.
Yeah. I thought Animal Crossing did a great job.
I did too. Like, I was a bit annoyed at the very beginning of the game with how you only get to choose like some physical features, like your eye color and your hair kind of thing, and you don't get to choose clothes. You can restart or something, but you're just given a set of clothes, whether you like it or not.
But there's so many clothes later if you keep
later on you can do whatever.
To that point.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon into the game, you are able to get like the custom clothing maker. So if you hate the clothes you have, you can just like make custom clothing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little weird that you did have to buy some hairstyle options, because I think once you've picked your option when you create a character, you're not going to be too tempted to change that off of your like main persona.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those should have just all been front loaded, but
yeah,
that's just me.
No, I agree. But I like the Animal Crossing approach of like you know, it's a Nintendo game, so they're gonna make you choose whether you're a boy or a girl, but they don't restrict you on which items you wear.
And
yeah,
that
thankfully.
I wish Pokemon would do that.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that was a thing in Animal Crossing is because that was the same team that worked on Splatoon, and Splatoon is really good about just letting your character be the way you want and wearing whatever you want. There's great customization in that as well.
Shove some of those people over to Game Freak.
Yeah, please. I wish it wasn't so separate from Nintendo, because they have a lot of stuff they could borrow and learn from Nintendo.
As far as like game development, I'm sure that there's a lot that Game Freak could learn. But like as far as game philosophy goes, I'm not sure that they're that different.
I don't think they are. I think the difference is Nintendo puts more. Their games have more time in the oven, basically.
Yeah.
This is something that we were actually talking on the Discord earlier today about, because there was someone on Twitter that made a poll that was actually kind of funny. It was like, a lot of people think Sword and Shield was rushed. What do you think is the ideal time for a game to be in development for? And the majority of people, something like 45% of people, voted 3 years. And that's exactly how long Pokemon Sword and Shield was in development for.
It's so dependent on the game you are making and the scope of that game. It's a lot more abstract than a film, where like if you are making a theatrical film, it's pretty much going to be 2 hours. It's going to have certain beats in it, and based on the kind of genre you're making, it's going to need a different budget for how much special effects or whatnot you need for props.
Yeah.
And games can be 2 hours long and be a great game. Games can be 100 hours long and be a great game. So the amount of time a team needs to spend on it and how big that team should be and what kind of roles they should have is so dependent on the kind of game you're making. Which I think absolutely. Is why games get delayed a lot longer than films too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but the person who was making this poll, I think it was implied that they were specifically talking about Pokemon games. As opposed to games in general.
Yeah.
And like my stance on how long should a Pokemon game be in development for is however long it takes to make a perfect game, and to hell with the rest of the franchise.
Same.
But like obviously that's not going to be the stance of the Pokemon company, because they're coordinating not just the games, but you know, the anime, the trading cards, and everything like that, and delaying the games, because the games are like the primary thing. Delaying the games means also probably losing some profits in all the other areas of the franchise.
Right. They know what profit margin works for them. They know that they want to put a game out every holiday season, and they're not going to compromise their workflow to make that happen, even if the game they're working on is not panning out in the time or way they expect it to, which is frustrating as a consumer.
Look at like the fact that they're willing to like patch and add DLC to the games now as maybe a positive thing.
I do think DLC is a better approach than like the third version kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not everyone agrees with that, but yeah.
Could you make Haunter's tongue a little more visible in the back of the mouth?
In the back of the mouth? Just like...
Yeah, it seems like it's just kind of attached to the bottom part of the inside of his jaw right now, instead of like coming from his throat.
Yeah, I just have to find... Oh, there it is. When I'm too, like, in the thick of it, I never name my layers. And so when I'm like, oh, I have to go back and fix something on this layer, then I have to just, like, turn all the layers on and off to see which one is the correct one.
I mean, it's fine.
Much never name my layer.
Yeah, that looks better. Thank you.
I mean, Dragon Quest Monsters did the thing where instead of male and female, they had positive and negative. And they also had, like, positive negative, which was essentially could breed with either. So, like, that's an alternative approach to gender, but I don't need them to get rid of gender in Pokemon. I mean, it would be cool if there was a can breed with either gender, but I'm mostly just asking to be able to pick between 2 or 3 different characters and be able to wear any clothing.
Yeah, I think that the gender topic in Pokemon, it definitely matters more for you as the player, because, like, Pokemon are kind of coded like animals, and of course, like, animals aren't usually trans. That's not a thing. So, like, it's okay if they have really defined sexes and stuff, because that's, like, for breeding and whatnot.
It's a game mechanic. It matters, like, it matters for mechanical purposes, but like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter so much for mechanical purposes with the player.
Yeah, not at all.
Got to make some adjustments here, but as far as the look, the concept, I think it's okay.
Yeah,
Is there anything
concept,
that I can give Haunter that like neither Gengar nor Gastly is gonna have?
Big
No,
tongue.
I mean, yeah, that's a thing. Are Haunter and Gengar's eyes very different in their original designs?
In their original designs. Well, let's see. I don't think so. I think they're all actually quite similar. Yeah, different color, but exactly the same style.
Okay. I might keep some of that angularity of the original eyes. I think that might look better than the circles, even though we're gonna keep the cat pupils. But that's just my take.
Oh, come on, no, don't auto-select anything. Just move the whole thing. There you go. Yeah, they all have essentially the same eye style.
Yeah.
So you're suggesting that Haunter's eyes be more angular? Or all
I
of
guess
them?
the whole line, but that doesn't really answer what you were asking. So,
Yeah.
You can make the hands a little more defined, like the way they are in Haunter's sprite, where they're just like very human and creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It said sprite. It's not a sprite. Don't judge me.
Hafa is asking, graphically, do you think Pokemon should go for that more realistic design that those fan games made in Unity have, or a more improved stylistic style? And this is actually a conversation that I was having yesterday on Twitter with a couple of people, and I decided I'm going to make a video on it because for some reason I hadn't thought about doing that. But I think that Pokemon in the past has had a very definite art style that had a lot of personality, and that is not what Sword and Shield has.
It's kind of strayed from that when we've switched generations.
Yeah, and like it's not even going on like something to do with the console, because Let's Go has a very defined style that has a lot of personality to it.
Yeah.
But I would say that from Generation 4 on, not counting Let's Go, the Pokemon like art style, visual style of the games has been slowly progressing towards something that's more and more realistic, but not in a good way. Like if you look at the trainers, for example, overworld trainers between Generation 6 and 7, like in Generation 6 they have that like really chibi style, like small body, big head, whereas in Sun and Moon they're much more proportionate. And
Started in 4. I think it started when in the switch to 3D.
Well, I don't know if it's started. I don't think it started in Gen 4. I think like after Gen 4 is when that started progressing, because Gen 4, I think the style is great, especially Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Not so much in Black and White, although that one does still work for me pretty well. I just think that it's they're trying to do that like fake 3D a little bit too much, and I don't think that it goes well. I know other people like it, but I'm not a fan of the look of Generation 5 very much.
It works sometimes and not others.
My take is I always like seeing what kind of realistic environments can be made on a certain platform. I like seeing what can be pushed and what you can do, but at the same time, while that impresses me from like a what word do I want to use here? Just like a very technical point that's like, oh, this is what this is capable of. I think stylized, very concise graphics will always age and always look better than going full photorealistic, because it gives the game kind of its own energy without it just being what we think the real world should look like on a console.
Absolutely. Do you look at a realistic game from even just a couple of years ago, it's going to look different from a realistic game now. And like, I feel that realistic games, the graphics themselves, or like the visual style, doesn't really add anything to the character of the game. Like, it being realistic can add something. It can add to immersion, and it can be beautiful because, you know, the light, you know, looks a certain way. But I don't think that by itself is enough to warrant making a game realistic, and it certainly doesn't work as well for other games. If Pokemon made a perfectly realistic game, that would be weird.
It would feel strange, and I think people want to see that from a technical standpoint a lot, but they don't consider how it would feel to be in that world, because I feel like the realism wouldn't add anything to Pokemon. Like a game... Sorry, go ahead. No, you're good.
What Eric said, I think that Pokemon should do realistic environments while maintaining the stylized nature of Pokemon. I don't quite agree, but I would love to see something like playing Minecraft with shaders on, where you have like realistic lighting and shadow, but stylized textures. Like, playing Minecraft with shaders makes you forget that Minecraft isn't kind of an ugly game. Because it just looks fabulous and amazing. It's like, oh.
Like, stylistically, I think Breath of the Wild is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, the environments aren't exactly realistic, but they're much more realistic than anything you've seen in a Pokemon game. But that's largely just because they are detailed, and because of, like, lighting and stuff. You look at the sky, and it looks like a real sky. But all of the characters are just have that kind of basic, like, cell shading style. So it's
Pokemon
like,
games would look a million times better with, like, really nice lighting and shadow. Like, I wouldn't want them to suddenly make all the textures realistic, or, like, the shading realistic.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah, and if you look at the shrine at the back of Slumbering Weald, like, that looks gorgeous. They clearly took a lot of care in the lighting of that area. And if they'd taken that much care in the lighting and the execution of every area, Sword and Shield would have looked much better. But even then, like, just... like, that's not a style.
I agree that the N64 trees are no good, but I don't think adding lighting and detail should be synonymous with like moving away from the style of Pokemon. You can definitely balance that with these new tools we have.
Shit, I forgot my microphone uses the same USB cord as my tablet.
So now you can't draw and talk at the same time?
Well, I can't, like, do an actual decent drawing. I signed up for a game jam that's, like, 2 days long. So I'm gonna have to, like, start with some really crappy blocked out images.
What is that game jam like?
It's a pretty small game jam. There's, like, I think something like 50 people in it now. It's called the Random WikiHow Jam, and you use a WikiHow randomizer to choose your theme.
A WikiHow randomizer.
like WikiHow has like wikihow.com/special:randomizer, and it brings you to a random page on WikiHow.
Okay.
I got 3 ways to clean a sponge. So that's my theme.
So you're making a game about or based on 3 ways to clean a sponge.
Sort of. My game concept is because like I didn't want to make a game where you were just cleaning a sponge. So my game concept is it's an escape room / point and click adventure game where you are a bacteria who has to escape from the sponge because it's being cleaned.
Right, okay.
And hopefully I can do both of the levels I'm planning on doing, which is escaping from the microwave and escaping from the bleach bath.
You're gonna be busy for the next 48 hours. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I can just do the escape from the microwave and just have the bacteria die in the bleach bath. Because I figure the method number 3 is called using sponges properly, and it just says replace your sponge every 1 to 2 weeks. So the end of the game is just gonna be getting thrown in the garbage.
So, are you actually making like a playable demo kind of thing, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn.
So it's gonna. It's just like 2 short escape room levels. And I'm not doing like full pixel art for them. I'm doing like using the binary tool inside to kind of draw out. Yes, Orpheus, I hear you. Sorry, my cat.
I would make the hands a little bigger. Also, does Haunter have thumbs? Oh, he does have thumbs.
He does,
I've seen it in
yeah.
the corner.
Yeah.
Got little Grinch hands.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel
well,
like
he used to have thumbs. That's right. He doesn't anymore. If you look at the modern artwork, it doesn't have thumbs.
Oh!
Weird.
You know, I think it looks better without thumbs. That's my hot take of the day.
I agree.
Okay.
And I also like having more spacing between the fingers. Like
Yeah.
those being more like grabby.
Those gotta be some thick digits.
Okay.
Rafa, WikiHow is a website where you find like tutorials on literally anything. And it's got some really bizarre tutorials. Like how to act creepy and how to know if you like a boy and how to run like Naruto.
Well,
Have you ever been
important
looking
one.
for something legitimate and you just like stumble on a WikiHow article and you're like, great, thanks.
Yes! Or like Yahoo Answers.
I think I've actually like used WikiHow stuff for real things.
Used it
You
once or
definitely
twice.
You definitely can, but the images in it are so silly that they get memed a lot because they're all done in this really like
Yeah.
plain safety kind of style. I don't even know how else to describe it, but they
Yeah,
look
no, I know what you mean.
insane.
My article thankfully doesn't have those. It has like actual GIFs. Though it probably would have been a lot funnier if it had. The ones that like a couple other people in the jam got, and there's how to make a ninja impact smoke bomb. Oh, I want to play that one. And how to tell if you like a guy, that was one. And the guy was complaining. He's like, "Could I get a different one?" I'm like, "Dude, that's just a visual novel. You literally have like a visual novel prompt."
I
Like, yeah,
accidentally.
you could just kind of do whatever.
It's true.
Yeah.
I accidentally stumbled on a WikiHow last week because I've pet mice, and one of my mice has like a strange bump on her, but she's long-haired, so I can't tell if it's like a scab or the start of a tumor. And I was like, how can I check on mice for bumps? And like WikiHow was like, does your mouse have tumors? And I'm like, who wrote this? Who is this for? Like, it's for me, obviously, but like, is this a common question that we need a WikiHow article about? And there's just all these like plain safety images of someone like turning over a mouse and being like, does your mouse need to see a vet? And I'm like, maybe. This isn't helping me.
I remember reading the one about how to make ramen in the microwave because I usually don't remember how much time to put it in for. So I'll look it up.
Okay, the Haunter hands are definitely getting somewhere. They're weird for sure. They're like very detailed compared to a lot of other stuff in Pokemon.
And just a lot of other stuff on Haunter.
Unfortunately, because mice have such short lifespans and they live so fast, they're actually very prone to tumors. So even though they only live a few years, a lot of them end up with them. But I'm trying to help. I don't want my mouse to succumb to a tumor. It's no good.
Interestingly enough, it isn't always about lifespan.
Yeah.
Because, like, blue whales just don't get tumors. And they think it's because they have, like, a bunch of DNA repair gene.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole, like, sideshow episode on that. It's kind of interesting. We don't quite know yet.
Mice are just prone to everything because the survival method of a mouse is it can breed fast and often and in large litters. So, like, everything else just, like, it's bad.
Yeah, just make a lot of copies and something good will come out of it.
Make a lot of copies, feed all the animals that want to eat those copies. Even though mice can live like 3 years, a mouse in the wild has a 95% chance of dying in its first year because like they're just meant to feed other animals. That's how they are.
Yeah. I mean, how old does a mouse have to be to reach sexual maturity?
A month.
Well, there you go. You only have to survive for a month.
A month.
You have to survive for 1 month plus however long it takes to get for like gestation plus an extra.
I think gestation is like 2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So your lifespan to be successful only needs to be 1 month for you to reach sexual maturity. Another less than a month to for gestation and to have your own offspring, and another month to make sure that your offspring are able to have their offspring. You're done. After 3 months, it doesn't matter what happens to you.
The life cycle of a mouse is get born, get laid, die.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Which you could argue is the same for all animals, but for mice, it's such a comically short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yes, that is very short, but like, I think it's crane flies that after they like metamorphose from their larval state into like their adult stage, they don't even eat. They just fly around looking for a mate and die, or at least the males do.
A bunch of metamorphosizing insects that do that.
Yeah, that like don't even metamorphosize with a mouth, because like whatever.
Yeah, because what do you need that for? If literally the only thing you're going to do is mate and die.
I have no mouth and I must breed.
Yep. Thankfully, the mouth is not involved in breeding.
Well, maybe not in animals.
Okay, no, Corydorus,
I knew you were gonna, or I knew someone was gonna say
so
something.
Sorry.
Corydorus actually do swallow sperm to reproduce.
Interesting.
And their mating position is known as the T-pose. Because you got like one vertical and one horizontal. But it just cracks me up.
What kind of creature is this?
Catfish. They're the small kind that a lot of people keep in aquariums. They're from South America.
animals have some wacky reproduction strategies.
100%. If we're talking about like weird animal videos we saw on YouTube, I love the SciShow one that talks about how if fruit flies get rejected and they're offered like regular like sugar water versus like alcohol, they'll drink.
Right, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I like what you're doing with the position of the mouth. That was a little better too.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh
my god, male English.
What was I gonna say? This always happens to me.
It's lost in time.
Whatever. If I forgot, it probably wasn't important anyway, right? Isn't that what people say?
Sure.
That's certainly what some people say. Oh, right. Well, what I think is really interesting is looking at these reproductive strategies that seem completely like they don't sort of make sense from our kind of human perspective, or even from the perspective of how we normally think about survival of the fittest. And like, I know that people don't like a lot of people don't like Richard Dawkins, but if you read, or like I did, listen to the Selfish Gene, which I think was his first like really big book, it talks about just like thinking about these reproductive strategies, survival strategies from the perspective of the gene, and like the gene itself is what is trying to survive, not the individual. And so there's a whole bunch of like weird strategies that make sense when you look at it that way. Like,
I believe that. I think that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, like if you're like a grandmother animal and you're helping to raise, you know, your offspring's offspring, some of the genes in that offspring are still yours, so it still makes sense for you to help with the survival of that like third generation.
Yeah,
Whereas
I
if you're
heard
looking
that's
at
one possible explanation for menopause. Is so that like grandmas have like more energy to participate in raising their grandchildren.
Yeah. And it's like that doesn't work out so well if you're just looking at the survival of the individual, because what's the advantage of no longer being able to reproduce if reproduction is like the objective, right?
Yeah.
But it isn't. Reproduction itself is not the objective. It's just the spreading of genes that is the objective.
I get you. I follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to move those whiskers a little bit closer to the face.
Yeah, I think they'll look better. I guess they're not technically whiskers, which is what kind of confused you about the original placement. Like cheek fur? I don't know exactly you want to describe
well,
it.
they do have the look of whisker. Like, ultimately, like they look like whiskers, but they're not placed like whiskers. I was concerned, when you first suggested it, I was a little bit concerned that it would look too much like the cheek fluff of, like, foxes.
Yeah, but I think as long as you keep it spiky.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty satisfied with the way that looks. So, let's move on to Gastly. Do a polished version of that, and then I think we can do colors from there, but if there's something else that I should look at more closely, please do let me know.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I never did change the eyes, but
That's up to you. That's just kind of my personal preference.
but you suggested it for the entire family, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of those Gen 1 Kanto eyes that I feel like really define these designs.
Yeah, but this isn't a Gen 1 design anymore.
I like them still. I think they're creepy. You could try both and see which ones you like more.
You know, Gen 7, well, Gen 6 to 8, really, they've tried a lot more different things with the designs of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be worth looking at something that would still be reminiscent of cat eye, but that doesn't actually, look like a literal cat eye.
Yeah, I get you.
It might be worth trying something along those lines. Yeah, sure, that works.
I think the front of Gastly's face needs to be a little more round, too.
Sounds good.
Because he's such a circle.
Yeah. Put an extra puff here and there.
Yeah.
Yes, the front of the face is looking a bit flat.
Also, I think the one of the ear placements kind of looks like a horn right now. I might move them both back a bit.
I agree, it does look a little more like a horn.
I can see that. Yeah, because I was thinking of it as like the ear in the back, right? But
Yeah,
so, like if I did this, I think it doesn't look like a horn anymore. But it's hard to show that when it's supposed to be just formless gas. So yeah, maybe move them back. Oh, the chat is on a topic that I have not been keeping up with, so hard for me to catch up.
We're still talking about like Darwinist sort of passing on of genes in a group, which is fine. It's a cool topic.
Oh yeah. I'm working on a video that is going to talk about Pokemon genetics and is going to touch on some of that. How's that? Does that placement make it look less like a horn?
Yeah, that looks much better.
Yeah, I think it has like a cat-like profile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Let's try some eyes. Yeah, but maybe not like strictly the Gen 1 style eyes, just I think originally I did consider just having them like be like glowy spots like you see with a lot of ghost type Pokemon these days. But that seemed maybe too obvious, like every Pokemon has that kind of thing.
What are some other ghost type Pokemon that have eyes like that, so I can quick look them up?
The glowy spot, like Chandelure, for example, where it's just a solid circle.
Okay, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of ghost Pokemon don't even have pupils. Now I'm looking at them.
Yeah. Maybe this is better? Like, is that still cat-like enough?
Yeah, just keep in mind how big Gastly's eyes are on OG Gastly. It's like
Yeah.
40% eyes.
Like,
Not that you have to keep that, but
No, I wasn't really planning on it. But yeah, like, because on Gastly, like, the more solid-looking part of the head, it doesn't really have a role, because, like, the eye isn't directly on it, the mouth isn't really, like, on it either, so, like, what is the point of having that solid part of the head? And in Gen 1, or at least in the sprites of Gen 1, it didn't have a solid part, right? It was just this fog.
yeah.
So that part, like, to me, it doesn't really make sense to have a solid section that doesn't do anything.
Right.
So yeah, I was thinking of that when I put the eyes and the mouth in a proportion that made sense within the head. Especially if it's supposed to be, you know, a creature that is slowly appearing, then to me it makes sense that the eyes would not be just, you know, enormous floating things.
So you definitely don't want the eyes coming off of the head in the same way they do on Gastly.
I did not. They can be bigger, I guess. But no, I don't want them like coming out of the head. But they can be bigger. Well, apparently I'm on skew mode. Which button did I press that I didn't mean to?
Uh-oh.
That's fine. I was holding the wrong key down. I was holding control. I didn't even know that there was a like keyboard shortcut to skew. So that's good to learn, I guess.
I think at this point the eyes might be too far apart. I would like to see a little less space in the middle, but I think the size is fine.
Yeah, that's why I was making the mouth bigger. To kind of compensate for that.
Does OG Gastly have fangs? Is that
It
like
does.
these
It does.
teethers?
I think it does.
Okay.
It does.
At least it didn't like the Gen 1 sprites.
No, it
Yeah.
still does. Yeah. And there it is.
I still can't believe they amputated Haunter's thumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like the little teeth.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't think the teeth fit with this mouth style, but I suppose I could just go back to the original.
Yeah, the
Mouth
thing is
style.
that mouth style kind of like the jaggedness is sort of supposed to represent teeth.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So
it's
they
almost
don't really go
redundant.
together.
Yeah.
but we can try.
Don't feel a need
smooth
to tack them
version.
on there with what you've already done.
Hmm?
Don't feel a need to tack them on there with what you've already done, but
Yeah.
you can look.
More Gastly-esque, I suppose, but
I like that less. I like that less than what you're doing. I think yours is different and interesting.
yeah.
Opinion.
Yeah, personally, I'm pretty happy with all of these. I guess I can make the eyes of the other two match the Gastly eyes a little bit better, but aside from that, what do you think?
Looks good. I like it.
Yeah, let's adjust the eyes just a little bit. What do you think I'm trying to do, Photoshop? Huh, Photoshop seems to be stuck on the eraser tool? Oh, there you go. Well,
Did you ever fix that problem where there's the big fat line would show up when you were drawing?
I didn't fix it, but it hasn't come back.
So it resolved itself.
So I can't tell you what that was.
Jury.
You'll like the stuff I'm doing, like the furniture and stuff I'm doing for the game. It's all food.
Ooh. Did either of you see the trailer for Bug Snacks in the PS5 conference?
I watched.
I didn't watch the conference.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole conference. I watched a supercut afterwards.
Okay.
That just like it included everything, I think, but just like shortened versions of every trailer. So I did see that, but like for me to buy a PS5, I would have to be very interested on many games. That wasn't really one that really spoke to me. There were a lot of games that was like, oh, you know, if I had a PS5, I would be happy to play this. But not a lot of games that I was like, oh, I might actually buy the PS5 for this.
I would absolutely buy it for Bug Snacks, but thankfully it's also going to be on PC. Which is not to say I won't get a PS5 eventually, but like, oh, a world of Foodimals. Oh, my heart.
Yeah, the one that came closest to me being like, oh, I might actually, you know, want to buy this was Spider-Man.
The first Spider-Man was great, and I say that not as someone who played it, but as someone who walked in the same room a lot when my husband was playing it, and I was like, this looks great.
Yeah.
He was just always having a good time playing it. The characters were really good. The movement in the world seemed wonderful. It's something that if I was more into that genre, I would be like very about, but still as an outsider, I can look at it and be like, this is a very good game.
Yeah, it was actually my wife who wanted to get that game, but she ended up being frustrated with the combat a little bit, and so I ended up being the one that played it more. I haven't actually finished it, and I intend to. I don't have as much time to play video games, or like to play all the games that I wish I could play.
Right.
And so, you know, Pokemon comes out, that's what I'm gonna play. So I haven't really finished Spider-Man, but it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot, so I'll get back to it one day, and maybe eventually I'll buy a PS5 so I can play the sequel or not sequel. It's very confusing. I'm
gonna have
vague.
to be there for the new Ratchet and Clank too, because the girl Lombax, I just love her. I know nothing about her, and I see her design, and I'm just like, tell me everything.
I've never played any games from that series, so yeah. Just like I haven't played almost any games from PlayStation for the reasons I was saying before. So I just don't have a lot of attachment to PlayStation series. My wife had a PS3 before, and then we bought the PS4 because she really wanted to play. Actually, I think she bought it expecting The Last of Us 2 to come out sooner. I think The Last of Us 2 was the one that she really wanted, because I think she'd already played The Last of Us on PS3, and then she got it again for PS4 because she just loved that game so much.
Yeah, is she excited about the sequel?
Oh yeah, and we've already pre-ordered it, just waiting for it to show up. So we were actually a little bit worried for a while that it would be delayed to the point that it would just get released on the PS5 instead. Thankfully, that didn't happen.
Yeah. I've heard that it has very good reviews, but I don't know much else about the new one. I played like half of the first one, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I didn't play it at all. I just watched her play.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's very
too
cinematic.
into zombie games. Not a genre that I'm particularly attracted to, or shooting games in general.
Yeah, same for the most part. Which is not to say I can't appreciate like the story being good, but I don't feel a need to be in that world as much.
Yeah.
Like shooting games I really play are like Slime Rancher, and that's not even a shooting game.
Yeah, I was into Overwatch for a bit, but now I'm very lukewarm on Blizzard, and I try not to support them more than I should.
For any reason in particular?
They have some questionable stances on protests in Hong Kong, and just as a game company,
right, yeah, I did hear about that.
Just as a game company, the last thing they put out was the remaster of Warcraft 3, the RTS game, and there was a lot of corners they cut, especially they promised things in the original release. They promised like fully rendered cutscenes that were just not present when the game came out. A lot of the pre-rendered cutscenes weren't up to their snuff as normal, and they had like these interesting things in the clauses of the game where like, of course, stuff like MOBAs, like Dota and League of Legends, kind of spurred out of custom game modes in the original Warcraft 3. But to prevent anything from happening from their IP, Blizzard put these clauses in their new game that's like, yeah, anything you make, any custom map actually belongs to us, and if we decide we want to monetize that, that's on us. So just like a lot of scummy business practices, and I hope that they get better someday, but I don't feel great about supporting who they are now.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, there was also where they pretty much stopped Heroes of the Storm competitive play without like telling anybody whose like livelihood depends on Heroes of the Storm competitive play.
Yeah, so that's not great.
No, not great at all.
What they're doing with Diablo, I'm really not a fan of, where they're turning it into like this mobile pay-to-win sort of format from a franchise that like I really enjoy. They're going down a dark path.
Like, do you guys not have phone?
Yeah, that was appropriately meme.
Yeah.
It sucks when a game company you used to like definitely goes places where you're like, I don't know if I can still keep being a fan of you, but I think it's also good to make that choice and support developers who consistently make stuff you do like and decisions that you do enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's try to put some colors on these. Figure out what colors they're gonna be.
Okay.
I'm just gonna get Mega Gengar out invisible here because I think that's a good starting point. I'm not gonna use those colors exactly, but I think it's a good starting point. So, like I was saying before, I like the idea of these being Pokemon that like their skin just absorbs the vast majority of light.
Did you want to keep the light red like it is on Mega Gengar?
I do.
Interesting.
Yeah, so my idea is like their skin is perfectly black, but on the extremities there's some of that otherworldly like red glow, which can probably also be on the inside of the mouth and on the eyes maybe, or the eyes can be yellow. Yellow probably makes more sense for the black cat look.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to toe the line between making that look like fire or not. You have like this just big red particle effect around them. You'll probably have to put in a little purple somewhere just to kind of keep
the smoke I wasn't thinking would necessarily be red, maybe a reddish purple. I guess on Gastly itself there isn't too much that I was thinking would be red except maybe the inside of the mouth.
Okay. I feel you.
Yeah. But definitely, like, on Gengar, like, the hands, the feet, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
After all, these are still supposed to be poison-type Pokemon, so, you know, they need purple.
I always forget about that. I mean, like, I don't when I'm playing competitive because it matters, but, just aesthetically, they've never read as very poison to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, like, Gastly, I can kind of see as a poison type because of the poison gas thing that it's supposed to have going. But, like, that's it.
Yeah.
Haunter and Gengar have nothing poisonous to them.
And almost every other ghost type has that purple theme, too, so that doesn't really read as poison on these either.
Yeah.
I really like this color scheme. This is good.
Thank you, Mega Gengar.
Definitely looks more bold.
R.I.P. Megas. May they rest in peace.
You know, I'm on the camp of bring Megas back, but it's exclusively for the designs, because I think some of the designs were really good.
I'm on the camp of Dynamax is the fucking...
Combine the concepts of Dynamax and Megas. Make one thing. Stop cutting content.
Yeah, I thought that's what they were going to do, but anyway.
Well,
like,
they say
as far as a mechanic, I do like Dynamax. Probably more than Megas, but as a just design approach, Megas were way better.
Yeah. Someone mentioned the gas might look good if it changes into red on it, and I know that's very Mega Gengar, but it might look cool.
Especially on like Haunter and Gengar.
Yeah, with a nice fade.
Well, yeah, it could have just like the watercolor look of the Gastly art.
Yeah.
Could have some of that.
Also, someone asked if you plan to make another gender designs video.
Another gender designs video?
Yes.
I'm not sure what that would be, but like I'm making more videos in a similar style and similar topics.
Yeah, I know when you interviewed me, we definitely talked about gender a little bit in the furry video.
Yeah, so that one's coming out. That one's supposed to be out on Monday. I just got to finish writing the script and then record and edit tomorrow.
Really, did you get interviewed as a furry?
Yeah! I got to be like, hey, I'm Banana Meteor, I'm a furry.
You don't even have... Do you even have a fursona, though?
I do, but I don't have a character sheet for them.
Okay.
I've drawn them.
I mean, I don't have a proper sheet for mine either, so I can't really talk.
But yes, I am definitely doing more gender analysis, or not gender analysis, design analysis videos. So the furry Pokemon is the one that's for Monday, and I haven't decided yet what other like categories of Pokemon I'm going to do design analysis for, but there probably will be some. Yeah, I'm happy with these colors.
Yeah, I think what the person recommended was more in line with Gengar, but I kind of like what you did with making it patchy.
Neat.
Very cool.
Yeah. Just like it is a bit. It's supposed to be a bit of a shadow look. This what I was originally thinking, that it would just be a shadow, but if it has more variation in the colors, then I guess that makes it look more gassy, which I guess is what it was originally meant to be anyway, and what its Pokedex entries say that it is.
Yeah. Rafa's as far as identifying the Charizards go, a really good way to remember which Mega is which is if you were to look at Mega X straight on, its silhouette would be an X because of the flame coming out of its mouth and its horns. And if you were to look at Y straight on, its silhouette would be a Y because it doesn't have the flames coming out of its mouth, but it still has the horn.
Why
Them
for
by
its
the
face.
colors of the symbols of the gen.
Yeah.
Mega Y is the orange one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
And-
Mega Y
and
is the one
Y
that looks
version
good.
is the red symbol.
A lot of people
that's the way
say
I
they don't
remember it. The Mega Y is the one that looks good.
Yeah, a lot of people say they don't like Mega Y though. It's very
Oh.
split, which I think is why there's two very different designs that have different camps to them.
Yeah, no, I know that a lot of people like Mega X better, but to me, Mega Y is the most Charizard that Charizard has ever looked.
Yeah, I like them both, but I like Mega Y just looks like a better Charizard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a more interesting Charizard, and Mega X looks like a Mega Charizard. Like Charizard who has become like more powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but like to me,
Or like
it
an
just looks like,
alternate
oh,
Charizard.
we made Charizard into an actual dragon because people have been asking Charizard to be a dragon this whole time.
Which is like,
Oh, I guess Haunter has some of the extremities that I was planning on making red, so just like the tips of the spikes kind of thing.
Mad
Just
Lad
too-
is asking,
too-
what other game franchises do you find have stereotypes? And that's a very broad question. I think there's stereotypes present in almost any game.
Yeah,
Could-
probably all of them. Although,
Yeah.
like I was saying earlier, I pretty much only play Pokemon and Zelda. Like, I don't play a lot of other franchises. Like, I've played individual games, but I just don't have enough knowledge about other franchises.
What do you mean?
I just latched onto Pokemon as a franchise way too much as a kid. Can't let go of that.
Don't.
Can't get
Cool.
past that.
Finipede, you need to also have a Pokemon wedding to complete the trio.
What? I'm actually going to get married.
Yeah, you can have a wedding without getting married.
A big party where Pokemon are there.
Yeah, there you go.
No idea. I mean, I've pretty much already told several people, like, if I do end up getting married, I'm going down the aisle on a hoverboard. So, like...
Why didn't I do that? Mistakes were made.
Well, you see, we didn't even go down an aisle. We didn't have an aisle. There was no aisle to go down, so... We didn't use a church at all.
I didn't either. I definitely had some traditional aspects for mine, but I wasn't super into the traditional religious aspects, obviously, because neither my husband or I are religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do a church either, if I got
Yeah.
When we got married, we basically just had, like, just our family and our very closest friends, like 2-3 friends, who were there for, like, the ceremony, which was just us signing the papers with the city official. And, like, we did that at our venue, but we did that, like, way earlier in the day, like, before the party, basically.
How many people did you have at your wedding?
In total? Or, like,
Yeah.
for the party?
Just like in total.
Yeah, no. Well, for the party, because that was the part where everyone was there.
Right, right.
So I would say that there were about 60? Like, between 60 and 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I could have come. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't really make it either.
Yeah, no, that's alright. Can't... Like, we invited a lot of people that we didn't exactly expect them to come. Like, we wanted you to know about it, and who knows, maybe you can come, but there's a lot of people that we invited that were like, we're not exactly counting on these people coming, and if they don't come, it'll be a huge disappointment.
Monetary and legal reasons, Felix.
Monetary and legal reasons?
Yeah.
The monetary reasons I understand, no, but you made me curious about what the legal reasons.
I know in some places there's stuff that, like, spouses are able to do that, non-spouses aren't able to do, like having to do with, like, end-of-life care. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure.
I think the way that there shouldn't be any pressure to, like, conform to marriage or having kids. Like, if you are happy in the way that you live,
Absolutely.
don't let society tell you how to live in a certain way. Marriage was cool for me. If someone was like, I don't want to get married, I'd be like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It was cool to have a
Well,
big
Marcus-
party with our friends and make them dance to meme music and look at Pokemon things. So,
Honestly, that would be, like, my only like the only reason I would have a wedding.
Yeah.
Like otherwise I would just get paper signed.
Yeah.
Would be to make people dance to meme music and have a party and eat cake.
Yeah, I was surprised how hoppin' my dance floor was because I wouldn't call my group of friends a dancey crowd, but I think we all wanted to have a good time. It was good.
Mad Lad, do you mean like, is he stereotypical because he's Italian? Like, what do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by stereotypical.
Mario stereotypical?
I mean, it's definitely, if you're talking about the franchise as a whole, you definitely have the damsel in distress. You have you have the big villain.
Talking about like tropes and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's cool to not like the idea of marriage. There's a lot of like just like deep set like sexist stuff in marriage too, where it's like, hey, like you got to take your spouse's name and like now you belong to them and you have to be subservient, and it's like, yeah, well,
nah.
No.
I'm keeping my last name. There is absolutely no way I'm getting rid of my last name. I am the last remaining person with like my dad's last name, essentially.
Yeah. I don't think I would have gotten rid of mine if the allure of an alliteration name wasn't so tempting.
I honestly thought you guys were gonna go like hyphenated, but I can see the alliteration name is a good pick.
Yeah, it's not like I have any problem with my family, and obviously if people still called me by my maiden name, like I wouldn't be upset by that at all. But legally, now I get to go by Julie Jenkins, which sounds like a fake character, so.
Like
I get to tell kids
character.
Yeah, I get to tell kids to like get off my lawn, and I sound like a Harry Potter person. I can hang out with Luna Lovegood.
Although being a Harry Potter person is probably not at the top of people's lists anymore.
Yeah, not right now. I heard that tattoo parlors were booked out till 2021 to cover up Harry Potter tattoos, and good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm kind of glad now that I never got into that franchise.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing Harry Potter I own, like I don't even own any of the books or movies, I only own a pair of Slytherin shoes, and that was before all of that happened, and because I thought they looked good.
Yeah. It's tough because there's a lot of things I still like about it, but it's that whole argument of separating the art from the artist, and
How much you are able to do that versus on.
I think it really depends how much the creator puts their ideals into what they've created, and unfortunately there are some problematic beats in Harry Potter that you really can't separate from J.K. Rowling, like the race of slaves that likes to be slaves, and the goblins for the bankers that are very money hungry and with their long crooked noses, which are like a very anti-Semitic kind of stereotype.
Yeah.
And it's not like I think you're a bad person for liking the books, because God, there's so many things in the books. Those are just like two really easy to pick out, not so great themes. But
yeah, and especially because like as a kid reading it, there's a very good chance you're not going to pick up on all of those things. And so like that's not part of the reason you like it.
You don't understand that those are harmful like ideas or like common stereotypes that have been brought down for generations to marginalize a certain group of people. Like you're not going to pick up on that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're 12 and you like magic, and that's fine.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's like as long as you're not financially supporting a person and you can see like, yeah, this isn't something I should take into my everyday life. Like
right. Which is stressful too, because when you talk about J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, she literally lives in a castle, and she's one of the richest people in the world. So even not supporting her is kind of a drop in a bucket. But I think for your own moral reasons, that's also a fine thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, still, don't give her any more money, I guess, is the way I'm putting it.
Yeah, you can really liken it to like people who are vegetarian or vegan. Are you making a difference in the grand scheme of things? Not really, but like if it matters to you and you are making a moral stand against what you disagree in, then like go for it.
Yeah.
Like I don't like find fault with anyone who still like enjoys the books for like the stuff in them that's like good or neutral.
There's a lot of good morals in those books.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't completely erased by the person who made them finally taking off the veil and revealing themselves as a garbage person.
Yeah. And like if you look at the movies in particular, like yes, watching the movies is going to put more money into J.K. Rowling's pockets, but
not if you pirate them.
Sorry?
Not if you pirate them, which is what you are morally obligated to do from now on.
To be fair, is anyone disappointed that like there won't be more Fantastic Beasts films? Like, I don't think anyone's like, oh no.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is that like you're also supporting the actors that are in it, and you know, like Daniel Radcliffe has spoken out against J.K. Rowling, for example. Emma Watson has also, you know, done a lot of good or supported a lot of good causes at least.
Right, so it's like this big conglomeration of different people and different faces. You can't just like point it, especially it's easy as the books because the books are really just one person, but the movies as a whole are like such a process.
Yeah. How do you like the colors here?
I love it. I think it's great.
Cool.
I would definitely put some of that purple over the back part of Haunter. Like it should be a little obscured by that smoke. It should feel like it's coming off of it instead of it being sort of in front of it.
Right, yeah. Which I guess I can sort of emulate here.
Also, do you want to keep the tongue pink? I feel like the pink tongue almost doesn't work with the rest of the color scheme you've chosen.
I mean, it doesn't have to be pink.
Be purple.
Could be purple. I think purple would look pretty good.
Like the same purple as the smoke kind of thing?
Yeah, try it out.
Which layer is the tongue? There it is.
Also, if you're in chat and curious what we're talking about with all this J.K. Rowling controversy, there's a really good video by Sarah Z that kind of dissects what she said and why it's harmful.
A turf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she made some of those, like, she made an insinuation that a lot of gender critical people make, where it's like, oh, but so many autistic, quote unquote, women are transitioning, and it's like, yeah, and we don't know why. It's not because we're too dumb to know our actual genders. Fuck you, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I also really hate the notion of, oh, these days and age, there's more trans people or there's more this people, and that's bad. And it's like, why not consider that maybe we have the right resources now that people aren't afraid to identify how they've always felt, and instead of living in the shadows, these people are just finally living life as themselves.
Especially with like non-binary people, it's like, would you have known like that was even an option without the internet?
Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah. I would be a very self-loathing tomboy now if I didn't know that like other genders were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
always a bad view to look at more acceptance and more change as a negative thing.
Yeah, and then like because she made
Didn't
some
say that
comments.
in particular. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because she made some new comments, at the beginning of the month, and then obviously she got the backlash for it. But then, just a couple of days ago, she like doubled down and like made this huge long post like defending her views, but essentially just like playing the victim and just repeating a lot of stereotypes and a lot of unfounded fears.
It was really bad. It was a lot of like quote unquote facts too, which aren't sourced from anywhere. And like you'll notice she didn't use the word cis in her paragraph either, because like she finds that to be she doesn't like to be defined as that, which is silly because that's absolutely not a slur.
Yeah, I think it was actually you who retweeted that onto my timeline, but I only read the article in the context of that really long, like, not a takedown, but like a refutation of all of her points. Yeah.
And that's a good way to read it, and it's tough too, because obviously J.K. Rowling's a really good writer. That's why she's famous. So when she makes a write-up on stuff, it's easy for her to frame herself in a way that would garner sympathy, in a way where you're like, oh, I kind of understand where she's coming from. But if you do any research and you look below the surface at the other things she's referencing, it is not in the way she's painting it.
Right. Yeah, and I like
different pieces of it. I didn't want to give any actual traction.
That is fair.
Exactly. I didn't want to. I didn't want to go and read the thing like on her website or wherever it was that she posted it, because I didn't want to give her traffic for it.
Yeah.
Which is why I was happy to read it in the context of that reputation, because it was just included in the Twitter thread as screenshots.
Right. Also really telling that when she posted that, she disabled comments.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
Where she makes a point to be like, I'm well-researched, I've talked to trans people, and then doesn't let anybody, refute her statements that are very much...
I immediately recognize the talking point about autism as something gender-critical people say, and it's like, yeah, that's BS. Like, you can talk about research all you want, but when you look at that and, like, immediately jump to the fact that, like, oh, it's because autistic people are too dumb to know what they want, or whatever gender-critical people say nowadays about it, it's like, well...
It's bad all around.
It's research, it's like research that we don't know yet. We know that there's a larger amount of, like, queer autistic people, but they don't know why, like so many things about autism.
Yeah.
It's not because, oh, we don't know. I'm sorry, that's like to me, that's just like the most offensive part of that whole thing, is that single line.
Yeah.
It's like, big fuck you to JK.
Not a great time to be autistic or trans. Thanks, JK.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so glad I never liked her in the first one.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I was never a fan of the book. Because if I was, like, I would be, like, totally broken by it.
The good thing to come out of this is literally everyone is like, hey, read Percy Jackson now. And I'm like, you know what? I might. Because the dude seems cool.
Yeah, I never read those either.
Bought the first one and then, like, never actually read it. I read, like, the first paragraph.
Apparently the guy who writes them is just, like, really open about social issues and, like, has a trans daughter and is just, like, a cool dude all around.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't really know very much about that series. Like, I don't even know when it came out. Like,
probably
how old it is.
Probably, like, a decade or two ago, I think it started. It definitely spawned off the trails of being this young adult fantasy novel from the popularity of Harry Potter.
Okay.
I'm sure it was inspired by it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, someone mentioned Animorphs as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what the authors of that are like, but
better people.
Well, that's not difficult, is it?
Yeah, it's really not at this point.
I'm hoping that Suzanne Collins isn't a piece of shit, but given, like, I never actually read The Hunger Games. I really liked her other series, Gregor the Overlander. but given she wrote the Hunger Games, I can at least assume she's probably not a huge piece of shit.
Yeah, the Hunger Games have some good views in them, and hopefully she's not bad, because I enjoyed those books.
Yeah, I mean, Gregor the Overlander had like a sort of like anti-fascist message at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can assume she's at least a decent.
There's definitely political statements in those books, but they seem like positive political statements where it's like, hey, maybe like don't be a sheep and like fight against people that oppress you. I'm loving this Gengar. It's great.
It's awesome looking.
The color is really endearing me to it.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's coming out like basically exactly the way that I intended it to.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, there's always like little details that, oh, I pictured it this way, but that's not the way that we're going, and that's fine. But like the vision, the overall vision of it is basically what I came to it with. So
yeah.
I need Haunter's tongue.
Someone did mention a while ago it might be cool if Haunter's tongue also started as the red and faded to the purple. I don't know if that's too much considering the smoke we already did, but it's definitely an option.
I might do it the opposite way because all the extremities are what's going red.
Mm-hmm.
So I might make the tip of the tongue red. That might work.
Yeah.
Could work.
Right now he's really reminding me of the villain in A Hat in Time.
A Hat in Time?
A Hat in Time. It's a indie 3D platformer. It came out a few years back. It's pretty good. If you're a 3D platformer person, you definitely like it.
Not familiar with it. I also haven't played.
You're not familiar with any game.
I am not familiar with any game. That's basically it. I don't really play indie games either, except for basically one time my friend just happened. She was looking for indie games on the Nintendo Switch store, and she came across one that was essentially about typography, and she showed it to me, and I was like, okay, I'm playing this.
Indie games are so good.
Mostly indie games and like small publishers.
Yeah, a lot of the concepts I like in games are just not super popular concepts, so they don't get the funding. So it's great to see those in smaller companies.
Yeah, I'm sure that there would be a lot of games that I really enjoy, a lot of indie games that I really enjoy, but it's just, like I was saying, just because of lack of time, like,
yeah,
I can't play all the games that I want to play. I can't read all the books that I want to read. Like, if I show you a picture of my to be read pile, like, because I have a bookshelf in my bedroom that is basically just all the books that I haven't read, that I already own, but that I haven't read, and that I'm working through. But like, I'm a slow reader. And so that pile, even if I read consistently every single day, it would probably take me more than a year to get through all of it.
Right.
And I don't read consistently every single day, so...
I really like books. When I sit down to read a book, I love it, but I just play so much video games that I'm gonna pick that medium over books most of the time, and I almost never read because of that. And, like, I feel bad about that, but, like, I just got to the point where I'm like, well, I gotta pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I enjoy games as an artistic medium more than books.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't mind books. It's just like my ADD brain doesn't like reading as much anymore.
The notion that, like, books are the more intelligent medium, and, like, you can't be well-read or critical unless you're literally reading books. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I like books, but that's not to say you're not, like, gleaning things about the world by playing video games.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that.
Ooh, the dark black is so cool. It has such an interesting silhouette.
it is just a shadow. I mean, a Pokemon that is basically pure black would be able to blend into your shadows pretty well when it's, you know, trying to stalk you or prank you or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Depending on the Pokedex entry, the Gengar family is either like trying to murder you and or lay a curse on you, or just like having some fun.
People is fun.
I definitely did like the bigger eyes too. Enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I think it works pretty well.
Ooh, doing the tips of this guy's limbs too. That'll really separate the foot from the tail too, just because this current angle
Yeah, yeah.
makes it blend a little bit. Someone brought up Gengar as Clefable's shadow not being represented much here, and yeah, not so much.
No.
Yeah.
It's like that is a fan theory. Like correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's ever been a concept that is like stated by anyone at Game Freak or Pokemon Company. So
No.
so I just went with
Other
a different fan theory about it.
I mean, we've used some fan theories, but not others.
Yeah, yeah. My
I
idea for
like that fan
Voltorb is
theory.
definitely a fan theory.
Ooh.
I won't spoil it just yet.
Okay.
But it's a theory that Birdkeeper Toby and Hoops and Hip Hop have talked about in the past, and I really liked it, and I was like, I think I can make this work really well.
I like the details around the angry eyebrows too. Really have some pop when the color itself is so dark.
Yeah, because otherwise it would just get lost.
Yeah.
So I might actually have to do that with a lot of the other like lines that are just for black and black, like down here where there's the fold of the leg. So I might actually outline that when I do the final one. I might actually color that outline or just draw that outline in pink.
I think that would look fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's about it. The only thing I think I need to put in the like reddish glow on the smoke, but other than that, I think this is done.
Pretty good.
Well, not done, but
Done for the stream.
yeah.
It's ready to ship. Send it out.
This is going to be a bit challenging actually to do in the like watercolor style, but
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
I like what we've created.
I really like it. This is one of my favorite new 151 designs. So.
Well, that's good. It's one that I've been looking forward to doing for a long time because I thought it could come out really well. I think originally, like years ago when I first started thinking about what would I do for various Pokemon that were way too far in the future, I think I wanted to do something that was more like space-like, where it would have been more of a like a portal to another dimension sort of thing, like I guess you'd be able to see like stars or something through the Pokemon. That was my idea. So that might have worked, but
I think stars get more into the realm of a psychic type Pokemon than a ghost,
Definitely
just
more
because
like a
ghosts are spent to be a little more
Yeah.
creepy, and stars are kind of like hopeful and cheery.
yeah. I'll just make these a little bit smaller.
Definitely, since you've added the cat elements more than ever, I feel like he really reads as an evil Totoro. But I like that. I like that edge.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah. I can see it.
He lures children into to the forest, and they don't have a good day. It's a very bad day.
There you go.
Cool.
I'm really happy with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it for now then. The 3D model and animations for this design could be so sick. Yeah, I can imagine it looking really good. Yeah, I think that's it. Anything that you guys want to add?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me here, and I'm glad that our input has helped define these guys a little bit. But obviously, you had the cool concept to start with the cat stuff.
Yeah, well, always nice to have your company for drawing and the chats as well. Hafa asked if it would have levitate, and yes, I think it would. Yeah, nowadays Gengar doesn't levitate anymore, but I think this Gengar would.
Gengar should still levitate. Shame, Nintendo.
Well, like, I agree that Gengar should levitate, but like it should be drawn or just generally depicted in a way that shows it levitating.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I would legitimately forget that it had levitate. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't fucking levitate.
Well, it doesn't matter if you remember it or not now. Earthquake it to death.
Yeah.
but it's like
Finally.
with something like Wheezing, where some of them have levitate and some of them don't. It's just really weird. Like, why can some Wheezing get hit by earthquake but not others? When they are all depicted floating, right? And then you have a Pokemon like Gengar that is depicted on the ground but couldn't be hit by earthquake.
Yeah. It's so silly when you consider a lot of those Pokemon too, like how Beedrill is in the air and you can smack it with that. But like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish when they were animating them, they thought a little about who had levitate and who had flying, and kind of changed their.
It always looked really weird when it was on the ground though, because it's like its abdomen was like sticking out, and it's like that's a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or as my friend Charon would suggest, just make being airborne something that is completely separate.
That is actually something I wanted to do with my fan game.
Yeah,
Having like
just
what I called like the flying flag, where it's like if this Pokemon in the air, you can't hit it with Earth ground.
yeah, and then it doesn't matter what type it is. Like Flygon is in the air, so just it's airborne.
Yeah, and I think that would be easy to grasp if you tried to use something like Earthquake on it, and you're like, oh, I can't hit it, it's in the air.
Yeah.
I can see it, it's in the air.
and with something like Flygon where you like its ability is levitate, but in a situation like that you don't need that ability anymore. Like the ability levitate just doesn't mean anything anymore. So you give it something more interesting, like a sand rush, sand stream, something like that.
Right. Nothing that makes it too powerful, because obviously you want to keep in mind the balance as well. If it essentially has quote unquote 2 abilities by like having this airborne effect. But yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And the second part of Charon's idea would be to make it to give a similar kind of marker to moves, whether they target airborne Pokemon or not, or whether they can hit airborne Pokemon or not. So something like Mud Shot, like
would be able to hit.
Yeah, that would be able to hit because you could just aim a Mud Shot into the sky.
So in the same way that there's a contact, no contact system that's already like very hidden in the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I buy in.
Moves that remove the airborne characteristic, like Smackdown could do that.
Yeah.
And Sky Uppercut could do more damage against anything that had that flag.
Yeah. So there's many ways that that could be implemented in a really interesting way. So
yeah, exactly.
Just have to keep talking about it until one day it'll reach Game Freak and they'll be like, actually, yeah.
or like someday my fan game will actually get made, but probably.
Yeah, well, that too. And I don't know if Game Freak has like seen or played fan games and then implemented things.
Not by Game Freak, I mean someday I'll make it.
No, I know. But like, I don't know if Game Freak has played or seen fan games and then decided to implement things into their games, but I'm sure that there's been like, I don't know specific examples, but I'm sure that there's been things that were first done in a fan game and then were also done in the real game. So you do it and you forge that path for Game Freak to follow afterwards.
I mean, you can just play my fan game on your channel.
Well, that too.
I mean, hey, this dumb WikiHow game, this is my first step as a game designer.
I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to learn about 3 ways to clean a sponge. Aren't we all?
I'm calling it sponge, but it's spelled wrong.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, well, I'm excited to see how these turn out.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I really love these.
I imagine they will be out towards the end of the week because I'm going to spend the rest of the day working on the video for Monday, so...
Yeah, furry!
Yeah. So thank you both for joining me here, and thank you everyone in the chat, and everyone who's watching, even if you're not in the chat. Thank you for watching, and thank you for engaging with us. And yeah, guess we'll see you. Oh, I guess I can tell what the date is for the next one. I just have to pull up my calendar. So that should be July 11th. That's the next one. And what Pokemon comes after Gengar? After Gengar is Onix.
Doing that one.
Okay.
Are you doing that one, Infinity?
I'll have to check the...
I can check that right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm not on like Google Drive.
Where do I have that saved?
Nobody signed up for Onix.
Oh, uh-oh.
Should I do it? It's been a while.
Yeah, you want to do
an
Onix?
idea for it?
Sure, I'll figure out an idea for it in a month. Well, not in a month, but over the next month.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
and
want to
then-
go for it.
And then we've got Drowsy and Hypno and Krabby and Kingler, both of which Infinipede has signed up with, and then it's me for Voltorb and Electrode. So looking way in the future, but good to know that we the next few months are now figured out.
Cool.
All right. Well, I look forward to what you're going to come up with.
Me too.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.